News team, assemble!
It's back and bigger than ever. It's the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
All right, welcome back. It is the Unofficial 40 podcast from Soonerscoop.com. We have the entire crew here today once again for our weekly podcast. Josh McCuistion, Eddie Radosevich, Bob Presbillo, George Stoya, and myself, Carrie Murdoch. George will be along here shortly, but we start out from we haven't had a chance to discuss this much yet, but we've had tragedy in the office as it rained, and our office hasn't handled rain all that well. Josh just found out about this yesterday because I think it was just one of those things where, like, we thought, oh, it's this little thing that happened, and Eddie and I were here and took care of it. But then when we saw the weather forecast, we're like, dude, it's going to rain for like 5 straight days.
It's not good.
Coming. And so I was calling, our people. I was like, are we sure we can't get this done? Like, because I think, Eddie, the worst we thought is that we're going to have to put 3 buckets up, and it would all take care of it.
Yeah, that's what we did last time, and I'm well conditioned to stopping the flooding inside of a home. So
it's a little PTSD right now for Eddie.
Yeah, all the fans in the front conference room send me back to a place that I'd rather not be.
And don't feel bad. Porter Moser was going through it too.
Was that serious? Was that serious, or
Lloyd
was
Noble,
he joking?
He said Lloyd
I thought he was
Noble
just shitting on like the Lloyd Noble.
Well, he said there were a bunch of little leaks though. So
I thought it was like a joke. God, can't imagine if that's.
It sucks when you build the.
I mean, that was a lot of rain in a short period of time.
No, it did pour here.
And see, it must have been mostly overnight, but it was one of those deals where, so usually I'll do my radio show at home and then I'll come up here. And so I thought about doing the radio show up here just to see if I, needed to empty any buckets or anything. Cause I was thinking to myself, like, it won't be that bad. It, started raining overnight. It was not like, I didn't realize how heavy it had rained, I guess. And so I get here at the office, and I'm about to go in one of the rooms. It's like our production room, and I always set my bag down in there. And as I put the key in the door, I heard what I could only describe was someone was in the shower.
God, this sounds so familiar.
Like someone was in the shower. It was like, when that water is hitting tile in the shower, like you turn the shower off and it's still dripping. Well, it was like that, but much more fierce. I was like, shit, that's inside. That is not an outside water hitting pavement type of sound. And so I took the key out of the door, and I walk around the corner to the conference room, and then I see it. It's 7 or 8 different places where water is coming into the conference room. Water is standing, like the buckets are filled to the brim, like filled to the brim. They're boiling over, and there's like. You know how drywall, I don't know, I hope no one knows this, I'm sure Eddie does. Did your drywall at one point, did it start to get like big bubbles in it where water was just sagging out?
Yeah, in my kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And that was all in the conference room, like right by like our feature wall that we built.
That was at the point that I go, oh, this is pretty serious, isn't it? We're not going to be able to just mop everything up.
Yeah, so that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is the room next door has thousands of dollars of electrical equipment in it, computers, workstations. And I thought, well, last time this happened, it was just in the conference room. So I opened the door to our workstation room, and there's standing water. Like, we just laid down new carpet in there, standing water. And the bad part was I was on the phone with the landlord's people, and I just screamed, like, bleep, bleep, bleep. Because it was the first time I saw it, and then I was like, you got to get people down here now. Like, and just people descended on and they did a great job. They helped us get it cleaned up.
I will say, all things considered, pretty lucky that nothing like from a technological standpoint got
well, so that we know
ruined.
of so far. I think there's only one thing that I'm worried about, but
I'm just saying, like, if it would have happened here in the studio, or in the production room,
that was the great thing. Is like yesterday, we all were pissed off and panicked, and then when we all got it cleaned up, we were like, okay, we're still going to be able to produce all our YouTube shows. We're still going to be able to do our podcast. Like, that was the thing that worried me most, is we've gotten on such a great schedule with all the content that we're putting out there. I didn't want to have a week where we were like, I'm sorry, guys, we can't do anything, because it had been like, you, Murdoch, you suck. So, yeah.
And at least we took everything out of the conference room as well.
I did the
was
day before, just preparing. Yeah,
yeah. There was like there was preparation ahead of the coming storm.
So hopefully this will all be permanently fixed. We'll be better for it moving forward. I've learned to roll with the punches, man. Shit happens. You move on. We'll be better for it because we won't have to worry about it raining anymore. And we're producing great content. Coming out every day, something new. So I'm not upset at all. I'm happy. I'm looking forward. Josh, how are you today? You're not trolling the world as you did on the recruiting report. That was a fantastic troll job, by the way.
Well, it's one of those things where I'm really glad we have the video media now. Like, that wouldn't have been possible or useful. Like, telling people about your USC shirt wouldn't have been nearly as funny as actually rolling it out.
I wish people could see Eddie's 89ers shirt or hat today.
Pretty sick, isn't it?
How did you not save that for video?
Well, I'll wear it on the video if we want.
Okay.
I mean, it is vintage. Look at that on the back.
That's a
oh my
great
god!
hat.
Is that?
I mean,
even
this is like
hold on.
legitimately from All Sports Stadium.
Is that like screen printed on there?
I have no idea. I mean, I think that they like handed them out at an 89ers game.
I bet they did.
100%.
Because they're sponsored by
100%.
who is it again? Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
That is
Oh,
unbelievable.
that's amazing.
Kool-Aid.
It's a collector's item. I mean, this is like
can see
from
that, can't you, Josh?
This is from my parents' house. Like this is not a store-bought hat.
So that your dad just kept that? He kept that from you?
Yeah,
all
he has
these
it.
years?
No, I've had it for a while. I just
okay.
don't ever wear it very often. They have my dad has like a entire hat closet and it used to be pretty badass. Like they used to have like all these vintage visors and stuff.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, over the years during college, I think that they're probably spread out across Norman somewhere.
Like maybe you had a rough night in one of those hats and
Yeah, and
forgot
just
about it. Yeah.
didn't make it back.
Yeah.
Didn't make it back.
All right.
So-
yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Now, just quickly, and somebody refresh me. Why did they change the name? I can't remember what the thinking was behind
Well,
that.
they went to
rebranded.
Bricktown.
Yeah,
when they went
they-
to Bricktown, they wanted to make it like renew the whole. Yeah, and I think it even sold or
Ownership groups.
ownership group maybe, but they became the Red Hawks.
Red Hawks, yep. And then the Red Hawks had a short run, and I guess probably 10 years.
And I think the
15
Dodgers
years.
have done some 89ers days and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have the Dodgers currently, the Oklahoma City Dodgers currently, PCL second place, by the way. They got to the World Series. They have like an 89ers day where they wear like the old
Right,
school
yeah.
pinstripe 89ers uniforms. If they wanted to just go back to that would be badass.
Yeah, but
Why
I think
wouldn't you?
Well, because
I think it's awesome.
Steve
you want to
Balboni
spread
was
your
a
Dodgers brand.
he was a big part of my childhood.
Former first
Yes.
baseman for the Kansas City Royals. I loved it when
Balboni
he
was like
played.
a god to kids of Eddie and I's age range, like 100%. Eddie's a little younger than me, but yeah, he was. I mean, a beer guzzling, hot dog eating, bowling looking dude that could hit the piss out of a baseball.
Not
just
too
needed
many
a-
guys in Major League Baseball that would pull off the Steve Balboni aesthetic these days.
Well, there's a reason that he was an 89ers legend and not a Kansas City Royals legend, though.
sure, he's a good player. He's a good player, though.
He tapped out about AAA. Now he did some good things for the Royals, but like that was back in the Clint Hurdle days, and but yeah, he was not a guy that he would basically get pinch run for every time he got on base.
I think isn't Clint Hurdle
He was the
a,
definition of quad A.
Yes, it was like they made that movie with Clint Eastwood and Amy Adams. Trouble with the Curve.
Trouble with the curve.
That could have been a Steve Balboni life story. like a bunch of scouts calling him a 5-tool player when he was just a fat bastard running around that could hit a curveball. So anyway, before we get into OU stuff, let's talk about the world of college football because it's fucking nuts out there right now. I mean, we had Bob Stoops on this morning on our radio show, and he just railed against Michigan. Like, it was nice
what
to
George was
finally
saying.
hear a
Yeah.
coach just go after Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. Because, Josh, it's been like a club. I mean, it's been like everybody's afraid to say how bad this really is because every coach knows they have skeletons in their own closet. That's the only thing I can make of it.
Guys, this stuff, and it just keeps getting worse. You know, the guy's Venmo and like all this information they just keep finding. And you're like, you went to the Naval Academy? Like, there's nothing, you've shown no ability to be subversive here at all.
Well, what I love it is everybody has to say, what kind of scumbag is this guy? Thank you for your service. But what kind of scumbag is this guy?
I just don't understand why they were so, like, out there. Like, how do you not cover up your tracks if you're doing this wide scale of
If
cheating?
you've been in the military, you should know better.
Did you see the SEC Shorts guys made a thing about
I've heard
No.
about it. I haven't watched it
Oh,
yet.
my God. So it's the guy sitting in his office, and it's like two students that have come in, and they're like wearing Ohio State and Penn State gear. And he was like, why are you wearing that stupid stuff? You need to wear the company shirts. And they like to have to take it off. And it's like the Michigan, submersive, cheating, sign stealing, company or whatever. So like he just went out of his they highlight how much he goes out of his way to basically get caught.
The thing I also don't understand is just, like, I haven't sat in the stands at a college football game in a while, but if somebody's just sitting there, like, videotaping the entire game,
Sideline?
You should report them
Just
to somebody.
the sideline?
it
Yes.
would be. I maybe that happens more than I know.
Yeah.
I know that people always have their phones out at games and stuff.
There's a
But
difference between going to a concert and holding your cell phone up and going to a football game and literally just
Like
spending
zooming
your
in on
entire
signals.
time on signals. Yes.
You think he
crazy.
could have came to Norman this year since OU's in the top 10?
I do think that, like, it's kind of a
TCU?
sign of appreciation. Like,
Weekend?
if he is at your game
You're
or
good.
somebody's at your
Yeah.
games, like, you should be pissed if he's not coming to your games.
Well, and
Hey guys, if there can be Swifties that are recording the entirety of an Eras Tour concert,
Sure.
maybe the guy's just a really big Brian Braum fan and he loved all the Purdue, what was going on that sideline. You can't rule that out. That's possible.
I mean, as many tickets as he bought, or it's been reported that he bought over the last 3 years, he must just love college football. That's what he should go with.
He's a fan. He's like me wearing the Trojan shirt. He just supports good football. That's all right.
Well, and here's the thing: nothing's going to happen. I don't have faith in anything. Even Bob
I don't
Stoops
know
this
that-
morning. Bob
Really?
Stoops this morning. He was like, "No, the NCAA doesn't do anything." He's like, they took the time out to go after Oklahoma State, and look what that did. Like, he's just like, "There's nothing's going to happen."
It feels like
He has no
this
faith
is the
in the
first time
NCAA
that
to have any teeth.
I mean, the NCAA, they would have to be idiots not to do something. They're going to have to at least have some type of action because
But
this
will
is the
it
first
affect
time
this
that
season?
probably not.
They won't be able to do
And
it in
I
time.
don't know how you can really penalize the Michigan football players, and that's where the conversation gets interesting. You could probably penalize Jim Harbaugh or whoever. I just don't know if you can actually penalize the Michigan football program because then you're really screwing over a bunch of guys that probably don't have any idea.
But have they been this dominant
Well,
because
Yeah.
they've been cheating? That's
Oh, I
the other-
think Adam Friedman tweeted out the stat
record,
graphic.
yeah.
Like, it really did happen over the last 3 years.
They've become
They've all of a sudden went 12-2,
Yeah.
or 13-2, and 8-0 this year.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you have to say how much of an advantage has this given them? Because, I mean, people steal signs. We were talking about it the other day. Like, remember when Baker Mayfield traveled
Yeah.
to TCU
Yep.
just to try and help steal signs, and he was looking at their side. And Gary Patterson even said something about it. Like, people do steal signs. Now, what they were doing with Baker, it's just because he knew Sonny Cumbie's offense and knew, Mike, like Bob was telling us this morning, Mike Leach never changed his signals, never changed his at all, and didn't care that you knew what they were. And like they knew everything that Texas Tech was going to do, and Texas Tech still beat Oklahoma at times. I'd say in 2008, they probably should have changed their signals because they kicked the shit out of them in Norman then.
That's amazing. Just like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
But like you think about it, where did Mike go that he didn't score a ton of damn points? Like that's amazing. Like that's just a flex. Like I don't care if you know what I'm doing. We're going to do it better than you can do it.
kind of like Kirby Smart last night.
Oh, that was great. No, we didn't see anything.
We didn't see
thought we were just
anything
fine
that was
at Michigan.
indicative of.
Yeah, I did. That was pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, hey, hear no evil, see no evil, cause no evil, basically. George is doing as much as they can to steal people's signs.
Oh, like guys, I mean, we all know. I mean, because they've talked a lot about Brent. I mean, that's been something that was thrown around about Brent at Clemson for years. That was something Clemson was really good at, was getting signals and that kind of stuff. And I think the biggest thing that's going to come out of this, we're going to get the helmet. the helmet communication. Like that's just going to happen, and I think that's fine. Like that, you get to go a little more on merit. Like it's just about how well coached are they? How do the guys know what's going on? And we could then get into the conversation of Alex Grinch not seeing wheel routes.
Oh my God! Yeah, well, look, I want to do that. I want to talk about the Lincoln Riley situation too, but I don't want to speak for them. But if you need an expert sign stealer, I know a place. By the way, this is the Enjoy Look Around Fresh Perspective. I'm sorry, the Enjoy Fresh Perspective Look Around. And while you're looking, you might as well have great vision. Eddie Radosevich, I believe, would be a great sign stealer.
I've never told anybody this, but Connor Stallions was actually in Enjoy Vision the day that I got LASIK vision, because we both see perfectly now, and he can see across the field. He didn't even need to zoom in. And that's because of Enjoy Vision, which is the best laser vision center in Oklahoma City, and it's not even close. The combination of mind-blowing technology, experienced eyeball surgeons, and exceptional patient care was life-changing for me. What they're doing for the Unofficial 40 listener is they're giving $400 off of LASIK. If you're interested in that, go to enjoywithme.com. That is the letter NJOY with me.com, and use promo code U40 for $400 off LASIK with my friends Enjoy Vision. This is where you LASIK.
Yeah, I mean, the whole didn't see a wheel route on tape. And if you don't know what Josh is mentioning, Alex Grinch was asked about. And you guys remember that, like when that game was going on, that was a huge play in that game. Utah runs a wheel route out of the back. The wheel route's just when the running back runs kind of a half wheel into a pass pattern down the field. And when I said that in the chat or in the war room, I was like, "You're gonna get beat on a wheel route. Like who doesn't teach their defenders to defend against a wheel route? I mean, it's one of those plays. It's like a delayed draw. Like it's just one of those plays. Everybody uses it, but if they catch you sleeping a little bit because people don't think about the running back going way downfield to catch a pass, it can be a very deadly offensive weapon. But it's just a play call. I mean, that's all it really is. And you would think that every defense on earth, every defensive coordinator teaches their teams as a very fundamental to look out for wheel routes. But for Alex Grinch to come out and say that he hadn't seen that on tape from them, and then for people to come out and say it's like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme from well, we were just talking about the stupid movie the other day, the Hollywood movie.
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Here's the Utah game from the previous week. They ran a wheel. It wasn't complete, but they ran a wheel route right out in the open. I mean, I think we all liked Alex Grinch.
Yes.
I think he's a good guy.
Did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, man, he hasn't helped himself at all.
He puts together a really shitty defense. I mean, you almost wonder, like, what they were doing at Washington State. Were they stealing signs? Because everywhere he's gone, they've been terrible.
You've got to think part of it is Sione Vaki's experience at running back. He just sold it really well. All that time he spent
all
in the
that
position.
time.
I mean, although that dude's a player, man. He's impressive. He's good. But yeah,
he's a big old dude too.
Guys, I can't help it. I have listened to a couple of USC podcasts this week. I can't not.
You are thick. in it.
It's just like. They sound like us 19 months ago. Like, what the hell is this? What's happening? Why is this situation going on? And you're like, we told you. Like, this is that. I tweeted it earlier this week. Like, there's all this talk. Well, it's Lincoln Riley in year 2. This is Lincoln Riley in year 7. He just moved Oklahoma to USC. It's all the same shit. It's all the same problems. And people acting surprised. I'm like, guys, I know a lot of what OU fans were talking was sour grapes, but even people like us, we were having these conversations. Like, I think Lincoln Riley's really good, but there are valid problems here that he's going to have to address, and he's done nothing to address them.
Here's the thing about Lincoln. You go and look at that 2017 roster, and all, not just people that made it in the NFL, but people who are making a massive impact in the NFL that were on that team. And that doesn't even include guys like Rodney Anderson, that he played in the NFL. To me, Rodney Anderson was every bit the runner that Samaje Perine or Joe Mixon was, when he was healthy. So, like, he had, Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown and CeeDee Lamb and Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. Like, those were all guys on his team when he took over as the head coach at Oklahoma. Like, he has, like, I think Zachariah Branch is going to be great in the pros. And Caleb Williams, he's got the best quarterback in the country. But the amount of talent that we can look back on it now and say, assuredly, the amount of talent he had at Oklahoma covered up for what he is not as a head coach and a play caller.
It's like he just doesn't learn.
And the talent within the league he was playing in. Oklahoma
and
was
not to mention the offensive
more
line
than anybody else. Yeah. And you look at USC last year in a Pac-12 that wasn't that good, to be perfectly honest. Now this year, where Washington's real, Oregon's real, Utah's down. They're not even what they were last year, and they're still too much for guys. There's a world where USC goes 7-5. Like that 100%. Is absolutely on the table.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. I mean, the games that they had on the schedule and the way that they play defense, I have no idea if they're going to go to Cal, who's terrible.
Without a head coach right now?
Here's something else that really kind of went under the radar that stood out to me. Like, I mean, it was like a car crash. But Brent Venables comes in after that UCF game, and he says, look, we were lucky to win this game. We have a lot to work on. You don't hear that kind of stuff from Lincoln Riley. When I watched Lincoln Riley's post-game press conference, he was saying things to the media that was like, I'm trying to get this message to my team. He was saying, like, I hope the players can, overcome this, and I hope they understand that this isn't the end. We're trying to build something. It's like, you don't say that stuff to the media. You say that stuff behind closed doors to your players. He's so worried about the outside noise. It's almost like he doesn't. And Josh, you and I had the same idea with that Grinch thing. I question whether these guys know how to actually coach the fundamentals of football. Because if you're only worried about what you see on film as a defensive coordinator, you're telling me that your players don't understand the bigger, broader picture of how to play defense. Like, if something is thrown at you that you haven't repped in practice that week, you're saying we can't defend it. We won't be able to defend it. You're basically only giving them half the tools to succeed.
Well, and guys, we've all seen it. I mean, like, you look at the preparation and the way the guys talk about the stuff they do during game weeks to get ready. Danny Stutzman having people over and they're watching video and they're all going over it and all those things. Look at Danny Stutzman against Cincinnati when he snuffs out, I believe it was a wheel route up the sideline there that Cincinnati almost got him on. And he dials back and makes the play.
Or the trick plays against SMU.
Defensive, Yeah. And you've got USC's defensive coordinator who should know every snap that Utah has taken this year. And he can't remember a big play from a week before or even worse, hasn't even seen it. That's damning. Like that's really, really bad.
I mean, we've said it almost every week, but it's literally like watching OU in 2017, 2018, 2019. I mean, they are really good offensively, and when they play physical, tough teams, like, I think that I kind of rolled my eyes at the idea way back when, but the drastic difference in toughness between Jerry Schmidt's team and Benny Wiley's team is
it's night and day.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, it is incredible how they play a team like Utah, who, probably resembles a little bit of a Kansas State type team, and they just got physically manhandled. And it's fun to watch.
Can you imagine what this Texas team would have done to some of those Lincoln Riley teams? How physical they are up front.
They would have had no shot.
That's not a Texas team that OU ever saw under Lincoln Riley. Like he didn't know anything about those guys. And I'm with Eddie, hand up. Like I think even on the pod, I was like, people are making too much of this, and Jerry Schmidt, like, it's all the ex-players and they love their guy, and I understand it. It's different. Like, the mindset's different. You can tell, like, just almost any time when OU seems to be in a tough situation, they don't fold like we got so used to them doing. Like the UCF, the turnover on the interception, that would have been a touchdown 2 years ago. Like UCF just walked in and scores because that defense is down, wasn't expecting to be on the field. These guys are just like, okay, it's time. You got to go to work. Like there's a very A to B to C with this group.
All the other off-field stuff too has been fun. The Bill Plaschke article in the LA Times where he just absolutely shredded Lincoln Riley was fun to read. I read that like the Bible every morning. All the stuff too about like just how it is eerily similar to the way that November fell in 2021 with ultimately his departure from Norman. I do think he's sick. I talked to somebody last night that said he's actually like really sick. He has pneumonia. From a sinus infection, but I don't know. It's like it makes you think twice for sure.
And it is one of those things I don't want to be too hard on because I don't know how sick he is. I mean, I remember watching that post game and he was coughing a lot. But that's also one of those things. Like, do you remember a coach missing like practices in the middle of a week because he was sick? Like, are you not going and getting a bunch of steroid shots and IVs and stuff like what's wrong with the medical care at USC?
Poor Dennis Simmons again.
I mean, he's a shitty coach. F him too. Hopefully he doesn't come back ever.
How much is he getting on the side to basically be the guy always taking bullets for Lincoln Riley?
Yeah. I mean,
this is twice now.
But here's the thing.
Shit hit the fan and Lincoln bailed.
Here's the thing that I keep thinking about, though. It's like, because from what we've always heard, like Dennis Simmons was the only one that had any clue that stuff was going on about him talking to USC. Like, how shitty is it to be a coach for Lincoln Riley knowing that he doesn't tell you anything?
Yeah.
And, like, he's not at practice like 2 straight days, and they're probably wondering, like, oh, shit, is this at Oklahoma happening? Is he going to the NFL?
I mean, it's beautiful. I don't know if there's been a coach that has taken a bigger, like, national reputation hit over the course of the last 7 months, maybe outside of Mel Tucker, who was jerking off on the phone with a sexual assault survivor. Like, it's crazy how the national media has basically turned, which I do think is funny because it's like, well, all the Oklahoma media and fans and everybody got basically made fun of for the way that everybody acted when he left and saying that Brent Venables was going to come in and turn the program around. And then you look up and it's like, it's all true.
But this is also part of it. Like, the same shit was happening in Oklahoma with media access, but no one really believed us. They thought we were just belly aching and it's Oklahoma.
Oh, you would have thought that
how much does media access really matter? And this, when it happens in LA, it's like all of a sudden every journalist in America comes to the media's defense, and that's why college football's been able to do what they have, which is strip back access everywhere. And all these national people don't realize that because they're not covering college football. They haven't been for years now, and so I find it a little bit hypocritical in a way that because it's happening in LA, everyone shines a light on it. Like, how stupid are you? How could you be doing that? You have all these other things that need to be covered. It's more about how could you be doing this to the profession, to the people that make a living covering your sport, promoting your sport. But out in LA, all of a sudden it becomes a big deal, and he's a bad person. All that shit was going on in Oklahoma,
and probably even more so here.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't ever talk to coordinators. We were very limited. We couldn't talk to freshmen. We couldn't talk to people before they'd even played, even if they weren't freshmen. Like, it was not good. I'm glad we're not there anymore.
You're right, though, in the thought that it seems like Lincoln Riley, as much as he tries to keep things like in-house, he is super, super paranoid about everything outside of the program.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to control it when really you probably need to focus on the indoors or on the inside and figure out why you can't play defense.
Well, and you saw how he's f***ing the university, too. Did you see all the lawsuit stuff that they're going up at the National Labor Board? Like, USC released this thing saying, hey, we encourage our student athletes to talk to the media anytime that they want to.
Yeah, the week before.
They're undergoing a lawsuit about this. And that was USC's defense saying, no, we're not violating labor laws because we tell the players they can talk to the media whenever they want to. And then, 4 days later, their coach says you can't talk to any of our players.
Truly, and it's easy to say this right now on October 25th, but it couldn't have gone better.
Yeah.
Did we ever have 0 play? Like, we usually get Pat Fields and something like we'd
They
get
give us
a
like
captain,
3 or
right?
something,
like
yeah.
Creed Humphrey.
Oh, after games, did they ever not?
Can you think of a game where we just had 0?
Like after a loss?
Yeah, like I always, you still get captains.
Anybody talking Manhattan on the onside kick game?
Yeah, because yep. Kenneth
you think
Murray,
about-
Creed
Yeah.
Humphrey. Yeah,
I don't
Mhm.
remember ever
Brent
not
brought
having
4.
somebody.
Brent brought 4 to Texas last year. Would have been
I
the
think-
easiest game ever to be like, no, we're not putting our guys through
I think
that.
you are like contractually obligated to bring people to the podium for that game, particularly.
Because they pay.
Oh, really?
They have
Okay.
like a bowl payout to
Yeah.
both teams. So
But
it's in their contract.
I don't remember a time that he ever just flat out said no.
I don't either. I mean, I remember after the Tech loss, when Stoops was here in 2011, he only let team captains come in because I remember it was Travis Lewis said something about Tom Ward or something, and like he just went off on the team basically, and then he was like, "You're only talking to captains from here on out."
Travis Lewis didn't have a problem with the microphone in front of his face.
We loved it.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Bob did not.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
So anyway, yeah, it's just fun to watch from afar. So I think we can put that to bed. I know people don't want to hear us. Some people do. They probably would
go
like an
Cal.
hour-long podcast
Go Cal.
about all this. So anyway, moving forward, Oklahoma heading to Kansas. And before we do that, I want to remind you guys to go check out primeshrimp.com. P-R-I-M-E. God, I can't spell. P-R-I-M-E shrimp.com. And you can choose from a bunch of different great shrimp varieties. And here's the deal. You use the promo code SCOOP U40, promo code U40, and you can get 25% off your order of $50 or more of prime shrimp. And go make your selections. If you like kind of more the Louisiana style, you can go with their New Orleans style barbecue. You can go with the signature Cajun, French Quarter Alfredo. If you want something a little bit more herbaceous, if you will, garlic herb butter shrimp or the lemon and cracked pepper shrimp. They also have the Louisiana boil Cajun shrimp. So look, just go to their website, primeshrimp.com. Check it out. It is restaurant quality food that you can make at home. It ends up being very economical, especially with the 25% off promo code of U40. And within 10 minutes, just boil some water, drop those puppies in there, and you will have a restaurant quality experience right at home. There's no muss, no fuss. You don't have to devein anything or cut anything off of these. They're just ready for you with the great sauces. Drop them in. Primeshrimp.com. Go check them out. Great sponsor to the pod. All right, Kansas coming up this weekend. It seems to me, I listened to Brent yesterday, watched his coach's show on Monday. I just really get the impression that they would be surprised if they faced Jalen Daniels in this game.
Very much so. Very much so. And I think that Lance Leopold's
He
basically
came out
said
Tuesday
as much,
morning. Yeah,
that
kind of surprised me.
that they didn't play Kool-Aid going into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they did on Monday, but then by Tuesday morning he had reverse course and just said it's gonna be bean.
I mean, that whole thing is just completely bizarre about the back injury, and is it really a back injury? Is he trying to keep his eligibility? But yeah, like I think this is going to be another really good test for OU defensively. They're going to give up some big plays. Kansas is, as crazy, and I think that's kind of become a storyline this week, at least in Norman, just with some of the stuff that Brent was asked about. Like, it's kind of crazy that going up to a game in which I think in all of our experiences in Lawrence, it's never been like a quote unquote big game, but it should be a pretty good atmosphere up there. I would imagine that the folks are, I don't know, somewhat jacked up about it with Oklahoma coming to town. And I think it's going to be a really good test for this group to bounce back from what was a less than performance a week ago, particularly on, both sides of the ball, really.
Yeah, because I mentioned last week in our game prediction, I wrote, this is a boom or bust defense. And I wanted to see if that was going to prove to be the case. And it has been the last couple weeks. Well, I don't know if you can survive that for the final month of the season. And if you're going to show that it's not just boom or bust, this is the game where you're able to make those type of strides. You're able to learn from what Central Florida was able to attack you with so well, fix it, correct it, and be ready. Because Kansas is going to have a lot of stuff ready for you since they've had 2 weeks to try to get ready.
I don't know if it's a boom or bust.
I don't agree with that. No, I think
they're really good.
I think,
But they give up big play. That's
everybody
here's
in the
the thing,
country
Bob.
does.
Here's the thing, Bob. If they're playing complementary football, that first quarter goes a very different way. If the offense is running the ball like they should, it's 21-0 in that game, and then it's basically you're playing downhill the rest of the game. You end up 7-0 after 4 straight 3-and-outs by the defense. The defense did their job. It's just
in the first quarter.
The offense has to support them, and that's what I want to see in Lawrence. Can there be any kind of a complementary, basically relationship between the offense and the defense? Because Brent mentioned it. You don't want to be playing your best football this time of year. You don't want to peak now. They've got to start working toward that, though.
Guys, how much of it do you think is, and I don't want to say like you're designed to give up the big play to Harvey or the big touchdown to Baker, but like I feel like Brent is willing to give up a play or two to be 3-and-out more often than not. Like, okay, we'll live with some of that.
Or to get a
we're gonna
tackle
get
for
you
loss.
off the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like he's willing to be aggressive, which I like that style. I prefer that than just the death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing.
Like, just don't go full Manny Diaz. You'd be a little bit Manny Diaz from here, time to time, but
especially if you're playing Marvin Harrison, don't go full Manny Diaz.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I'm talking like don't sell out all the time, and he doesn't. I mean, he chooses his times when he wants to send the corner blitz, like the Peyton Bowen blitz. I mean, he chooses to do that at opportune times. He's not doing that all the time.
I think Central Florida's really good offensively too.
Yeah.
Like they got some really good players.
Well, we said it after the game. We said it on the Eskridge Lexus post game. We'd love to have PJ Harvey on that roster.
RJ Harvey.
Is it PJ Harvey's a singer?
RJ.
Who's PJ Harvey?
PJ Harvey,
A singer.
Big in the '90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Would I know any
she's
of
got
the
that one
songs?
big song. What was
it's a
that?
girl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. He really doesn't
I
know.
can't think of it. But Javon Baker. I mean, you talk about a big explosive receiver. There's a lot to like with him.
That one-handed grab was a little CD in the end zone.
That was crazy. Because Woody had good coverage there. It wasn't like it was, it was uncontested. He made a tough catch. But yeah, guys, I mean, and I think so much. We know Gus Malzahn, he's got a reputation as a guy that's very creative, going to throw a lot of stuff at you. And it's not that they weren't ready for that sprint draw, but it's an unusual play. You don't see it a lot. And I think there were times you just kind of struggled to deal with it. But this Kansas group, man, they're going to throw the sink at Oklahoma.
Yep.
Like they're going to see all kinds of stuff. They're going to see some they haven't seen before. And they're going to use some stuff that UCF did that you can guarantee. I guarantee they're going to give them a couple of the sprint draw looks to see what OU will do with it. Same deal though as last week. You don't have a very skilled passer. Like if you can manage the run like OU did against UCF, you should be fine. Like there shouldn't be any big problems. And again, OU with the save for a couple of big passes, they manage that offense very well. They've got to be kind of what Bob's talking about. You've got to be a little more consistent to avoid some of those really, huge gash plays.
Sure, I get that. How good is Devin Neal?
I like their backs. Daniel Highshaw, kid from Moore, he's a good physical runner. Good player. Devin Neal is, they're going to throw it to him. They're going to mix him in a lot of different ways. Part of me just loves their offense. Like I love what they do. They're very creative. They work the edges a lot. The fact that they're making Jason Bean not just like a hog in the wheel, but like a functional quarterback tells me how smart and good they are at using the tools they have. But I mean, this is a game OU should win up front. They should dominate Kansas along the offensive line. Kansas isn't bad or anything like that. It's just OU's better. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing. You just got to limit stuff on the perimeter, which we know Oklahoma's had some trouble with at various points this year.
Which I would imagine makes it even more important that they have a bunch of success defensively on first and second down with how good Kansas is. I did not realize until Brent said it on Tuesday that they are number 4 nationally in third down offense.
Yeah, that's. I mean, go ahead, Josh.
No. I was going to look something up because that kind of triggered something for me. But yeah, they are incredibly. I said I just like what they do. They're very creative. I like all the movement. They're going to throw so much at you.
Let me throw this out there. Is this the game that R. Mason Thomas emerges?
I would. Can he have a really nice game and not say emerge? Because I just don't know how many times they're going to really truly let Jason Bean just sit in a pocket and drop back.
But I mean, it's stuff that they're going to do in the run game, tackles for loss, things like that.
That's fair.
I mean, I think we all would expect Ethan Downs to go in this game and kind of dominate on the edge a little bit.
Yeah, I will say, R. Mason said that he's up to 240 on Monday. He looks great physically.
It feels tailor-made for an Ethan Downs kind of game, like because the way they're going to run at him, they're going to want, if they're going to try to put some pressure on that edge. R. Mason will be interesting because he's not, like Eddie, you're talking about him at 240. He's not your traditional like, he's going to set the edge and turn everything back inside. That's not. But at the same time, even if you get outside him, you've got a foot race. I mean, like I showed it on one of the Monday Morning Idiot clips. Him damn near chasing down R.J. Harvey out in space. Like you're like that's not normal. And you get a guy that can do that sometimes. Then it's not that you want to let anybody wide of you, but if in his case, if you do, it's not a death sentence.
Well, maybe this is more of a Rondell Bothroyd.
I was
Maybe
just
that
going to
becomes
say,
the challenge.
Ethan Downs, Rondell Bothroyd type of day.
Yeah.
I thought Trace Ford played really well on Saturday.
He did.
Oh, yeah.
Except, he continues to we laugh about it with him when we have him on because you do Danny Stutzman and we do Trace Ford. Like Trace Ford is the best dude, man. He can laugh at himself, but just having 2 plays where he was just dominant and then getting a false a offsides penalty was just so Trace Ford.
Did he line up offsides, or did he just jump early?
Yeah, he was offsides.
He lined up.
He lined up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's just got a little too. He was feeling himself a little too much. He wanted to get across that line.
And even that, it was close. It was tight. Like it wasn't.
It wasn't like a total bonehead thing. Yeah, just his helmet was in the neutral zone a little bit.
In terms of tackling on the perimeter too, going into Saturday, I think it's going to be interesting to see how much they can get Drenchie Williams going. I know he practiced on Monday. He did not practice on Tuesday.
Yeah, did not look like Tuesday.
I think he's dealing with a little bit of an issue in maybe the knee. So. I don't know.
And you asked him. I mean, George asked him
on.
You might explain kind of how that went.
Yeah, like we kind of heard some stuff on Monday that maybe he had gotten nicked up or banged up at a workout on Monday morning, and George asked him about it on Monday. Kind of a veiled like, is this about as healthy as you've been coming out of a bye week in the Central Florida game? And Gentry basically kind of had a spooked look in his face. It was like, what do you know that everybody else doesn't? And didn't really answer the question. And then we saw him yesterday walking over. He didn't practice. He was just in a jersey top. So
shorts,
we'll see. I mean, Tawee Walker's back. Maybe you see a little bit of Josiah Wagner. Maybe you see a little bit of
I think
Makari
everybody wants to
Vickers
see a little
bit
more Kendall Dolby as well. I
mean, Kendall Dolby's been great.
Well, he's cheetah. He's set. So.
Well, I mean, I think that if in a pinch, I would imagine that they would put Kendall Dolby back at cornerback.
Because they went with Key.
Yeah.
But weren't he and McCullough on the field together when the interception happened at Texas? That Billy Bowman had the hit on? Or was McCullough not on the field then?
Can't remember if Deshaun was out there or not.
I thought McCullough was. Maybe I'm confusing it with all the goal line
Deshaun was definitely out there for the goal line stuff. Which, speaking of Rondell Bothroyd, I thought about this when I was cutting a GIF out to put on the board for the Jaron Canick unsportsmanlike. Rondell Bothroyd in the goal line stuff has been fantastic.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, he and DeJoun Terry, and I mean, you know what, guys? I don't know why this is, but I keep seeing flashes from Grayson Halton. But it's tough for him to get on the field when you got DeJoun Terry and Jacob Lacey, and then in passing situations, Jonah Lualu. I mean,
sure, and Isaiah Coe's been really good.
Coe has
Jordan
been really
Kelly
good.
had a quarterback pressure that resulted in a grounding on Saturday. So.
I mean, I want to take a moment just say that's amazing. I mean, of all the things that we talked about in the offseason coming into this year, I know Todd Bates had been a little bit under fire, because people felt like maybe his recruiting wasn't where it needed to be early on, but my God, he has developed that interior defensive line like I never thought anybody could.
Yeah, they've
and
been
we've
really
seen some
good.
good coaches around here.
Been really good. And I know George wrote about DeJoun Terry today. I completely forgot, or maybe he didn't know that he played at Kansas.
Played at Kansas first, yeah.
I just assumed he went to Tennessee. It didn't even put two and two together. He's a really lovely dude, too.
Yeah, I like talking to him. He just seems like he really appreciates just being here.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is, half the battle.
Yeah, I like him. I like Jacob Lacey's been great. It seems like he makes, 2 or 3 plays every game. You're right, though. Todd Bates has really turned that group around, and, obviously what he's doing in the recruiting world.
I thought Gilliam was going to be the star.
I know.
He can't. He's fighting to try to get reps.
Don't even see him.
Well, I'm going to say this. Halton and Gilliam will have their opportunities after this year because that thing's going to turn over quite a bit. And they'll have to battle some pretty good freshmen coming in.
100%.
By the way, want to talk about the running backs because we've done that a lot, but deadsoxy.com, we got a big shipment in from them. Everybody's happy. They got their no-shows.
I'm going to take a handful more of them today.
No, you're not. You took more than anybody.
I did not.
These are for guests in studio.
I took 4. I took 4 sets.
Maybe George was the one that was
There's
all
like
grabby.
there's 1,000 of them here.
Yeah, I haven't taken any though, and Josh doesn't have any.
Well, take some.
Bob, have you taken any?
No.
So take some before Eddie takes them all. He's like the George of mini sopapillas around here with the dead Soxies.
I took 4 pairs.
You took 4 and you took 4?
Yes.
I thought you took
Dang.
2 of each. Because there's 2 socks in each one.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is. There's you don't. There's 2.
Yeah.
No, that's 4.
You mean
that
two? You mean 2 pairs?
Oh, well
Yes,
then if
you're
we're-
holding 4.
No, I took 2. Yeah.
You don't have to take the pretty ones. Nobody's going to see them. Take the drab olive ones. Okay, take them. Okay.
They'll sell
go ahead.
more. I
don't
love
thi-
Dead Soxy.
You're really
I don't think
hurt-
we're going to run out.
You're hurting my side business is what you're doing. I'm selling these. You don't know. I'm buying equipment with these. It's a trade-off. George is jumping. But deadsoxy.com, go check them out. We're fighting over the socks. You know how good they are. They've got the new crimson colorways. Go check those out. We're even talking about I think we're going to release a poll to allow you to pick the unofficial 40 version of Dead Soxy socks. So we're working on that with them right now. I've seen the mock-ups. I would take any of them. So whatever you guys decide to pick, check out our social media channels. Bob is out of here. He's going to pick up the kid. But go to deadsoxy.com. Use that promo code SCOOP. You'll get 25% off your entire order, even sale items. Just the best socks in the game. We love them. As you heard, we'll fight over them in the office, even though we have like 50 pairs sitting here.
I will say, I don't know if I'm going to be able to wear them on Saturday. We might have to pull out the wool socks for the first time. I saw that the temperature keeps going down. It keeps going south.
It's going to be quite cold.
And I think that there is a growing chance of rain. So we might be able to use the rain gear for the first time.
Good. It's a good thing we spent the money for that rain cover.
Yeah, no kidding.
It wouldn't be a trip to Kansas without you having put on cold gear at some point. Seems like that happens every year.
Manhattan or Lawrence every year. There's something about it.
The trips to Kansas the last 3 times, too, have been kind of crazy. You had the crotch grab, 2017.
Great moment in college football history.
2019 was the lightning delay, and OU didn't play well, the Jalen Hurts year. And then 2021 was the Caleb Williams.
Steal the ball from Kennedy Brooks to get the first down, or they
it's always been a fluky
I will
game.
never forget standing in that stadium and they make an announcement basically like, if you know a friend, tell them to come down to the stadium.
Yes.
It was like, oh shit, they're going to lose, aren't they?
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think they're going to be having to send out that message. I think that stadium's going to be pretty full.
I hope so. I saw somebody, Rob Benton is a radio guy up there, saying that it's not a official sellout yet, but hopefully it is a good atmosphere.
I think there's gonna be a lot of OU fans make the trip too.
Always is.
I've heard from a lot of people that are making the trip to Lawrence this weekend. So
I love Lawrence. I think it's a fun college town. So
Halloween
I'm excited
weekend
to go.
too. So I'm sure the student section will be a little.
I feel like OU always plays Kansas on Halloween. I don't know what it is. I feel like the last couple times
It's definitely
we've been
always
up there have been
late.
around
It's always
Halloween.
late in the year.
That's probably why it's so cold up there too.
Yeah.
Oh, he's playing in the. late October.
Well, if it is a little cold, and maybe Dylan Gabriel doesn't like it because it's not Hawaiian-ish type weather for him, and they do have to go to the run game. Here's the $1 million question for this week: is it going to be more Gavin Sawchuk, more Marcus Major, or more Tawee Walker?
Neither.
What are you going to say?
Javonte Barnes.
You think it's going to be Javonte Barnes?
I think he might play this week.
Well, I think he will too, but I don't think he's going to be the guy.
We'll see.
I've heard some stuff too, Eddie. That's
all right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's juicy.
It's out there.
Thanks for sharing the info.
I don't know.
Eddie just was waiting to beat you over the head on the pod with
I will say I have heard that he has practiced more this week than he has in recent weeks.
I mean, we were there on Monday, kind of poking our head in, and it's just like I think I said it to you.
He looks the part.
How the hell is this guy not playing?
Yeah, I mean, you see, even just jogging by on Tuesday when they came out of the indoor, and he goes right by us. I'm like, how do they not have a role for that guy?
I will say though, I do think that, it was one quarter of football. I'm going to give him a little bit of a grace period here. I think Gavin Sawchuk started to find a little bit of rhythm late in the fourth quarter. Now, how much is that? Oh, you just wearing teams down? I thought he ran the ball pretty well, though, in the fourth quarter, and especially, just breaking tackles, making a 2-3 yarder into an 8 or 9 yarder, Josh.
Yeah, I think that's a huge piece of it, Eddie, because I think when I watch Marcus Major, sometimes I just see a guy, and I don't know of a better way to say it than his feet are parallel with the line of scrimmage. Like, it's not a guy getting north and south. Like, he's looking, he's thinking. With Gavin Sawchuk, I just see a guy like, there's my hole, I'm going. Like that, and that's really the way he runs. And I just think there are times, and especially with Oklahoma, I think in that fourth quarter, you saw them get a little bit farther away from, okay, we're going to do all this motion and we're going to move and we're going to get around, like, kind of almost like an amoeba type blocking idea, very zone, I know is what we're talking about. But like, it was more like, there's my guy, I'm going to go get him. And so if the hole is where the hole is supposed to be, if everybody's doing what they're supposed to. And I thought he was a really good fit for that because with his speed, his power, he just kind of hits the hole and goes. So like I said, I thought that made a ton of sense. With Barnes, the thing that's interesting about Javonte to me is, like, kid from Vegas. He was a big time recruit, hasn't gotten the time everybody thought he would. But every time I see him, like when he shows up on the broadcast, he looks invested. Like, he's high-fiving, he's celebrating with Gavin Sawchuk. Like, there's been none of that crap body language, and I've got to think that means something to DeMarco Murray and those guys, that he's still locked in and snap out.
I just thought it was weird that last week, he had the rough start, and I get the next series him not being in there because of that, but we didn't see him for like an entire quarter. And you look at his statistics, I know it's not a lot, but in the 2 games in his career that he's had 10 or more rushes, he's averaged over 6 yards a carry. He had 15 carries against Florida State, rushed for 100 yards, had 10 carries against UCF, rushed for 6.3 yards per carry. So he's shown that when he gets the bulk of the carries, he can find something. It might take a minute, right, to find that groove and get in that rhythm, but I'm at the point where it's like, just stick with one guy.
Yeah.
And one, don't let it be, I don't think it should be Marcus Major. We've seen enough Marcus Major, but stick with one guy for one game and see what it looks like. Like, let a guy get into a rhythm and see if they can find it. I don't know. And this should be another week that they should be able to run the ball. Kansas ranks 93rd in rushing defense. Next week they play Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's 81st in rushing defense. So it's not like they're playing a bunch of world beaters in run defense the next couple weeks. They should be able to run the football.
To the thought of Sawchuk just disappearing in the first quarter after dropping the fumble and dropping the
direct
screenplay,
snap.
The direct snap, and then dropping the screenplay. I wonder how much of that too was just they did not move the ball very much after that. I mean, I know that they went down and they scored on Schmidt missed the field goal on like let's call that the Marcus Major series, but they didn't really have a whole lot of.
Well, they got cute, man. Like they come out, they try something totally different on the first series, and then the second
with
series,
a young back, which I didn't like. I mean, if you want to do that with Marcus Major, okay,
or
fine.
direct snap it to Farouk. We've seen him direct snap it to Farouk, and it's worked. But then the next series they come out, they don't even play a running back. It was Farouk that they had back there, And I think did they go 3 and out on the second series?
5 plays.
5 plays. So I mean, and then the third one I think was major. It felt like a very weird game plan from the start.
Yeah.
Did you guys go back and watch the direct snap that Sawchuk fumbled?
Oh, it was 3 and out.
Holy crap! If he catches that ball,
Yeah,
like, it's just
there.
space.
And
I mean, there's nothing but room.
It's the same with the screen pass. If he catches that screen pass, he might score on that play. I mean, it was there. So I mean, I'm knocking the game plan. It just was like I don't know. It felt like they were trying to get a little too cute at the beginning of that game.
And I think we've all kind of had that criticism of the offense at times, whether it's the Jackson Arnold stuff or just some of the deep shots, instead of just, knowing that you can run the ball.
We almost saw the Jackson Arnold package reemerge on Saturday, and they called a timeout, and they came back out, and Marcus Major picked it up.
I just don't get
it. But I do wonder if that could have been a ploy. I think
to get him to call a timeout,
call timeout, or even I think there was a chance that ball was getting handed off. Like I think it was a total trying to get them to UCF off mark.
Go back and watch that. Jaquez Pettaway looked real frustrated about that timeout. Like I think something was happening there that they were going to give somebody a look at later in the year. Like I think that was okay, you've seen us do this, now look at this. And like even Arnold and Pettaway are kind of like patting each other on the helmet after the play. Like it just felt like something was cooking there. And I talked about it in one of the Monday Morning Idiot videos. Like again, you're reading body language, so God only knows. But there was a lot there that you were like, that didn't look like a humdrum kind of just run up the middle type of play.
I do think we're going to see more Pettaway this week too.
I want more Pettaway. Give me more Pettaway.
Yes. By the way, I know you guys. It's Josh. I think you and Eddie had both kind of heard some stuff when right before kickoff last week with the Tawee Walker stuff. I've heard a lot more this week just about how that's all settling out, and I'm sure you have too. But I think it's all straightened out. I'm not worried about like Tawee being in the doghouse. I do think probably both sides have learned a little bit through this.
He was definitely doing a bunch of sprinting and up downs after practice on Tuesday.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I missed that. I don't know how much we're going to see at Tawee Walker moving forward.
I mean, I said that. And I mean, I told people on the board, and I know people got pissed, but I was like, you're not going to see a lot of feel-good Tawee Walker stories out of us the rest of the way after, things went down the way. And look, I think, it's a situation where, he didn't obey, his coaching staff. Like he resisted doing things that he was asked to do. And, hopefully it's a learning experience for him. Being a walk-on, it's probably the dumbest thing that you could ever do. I mean,
in a backfield that has so much like turnover that it seems like anybody could play each week. It just doesn't seem like the smartest decision to not do what you need to do, not take care of yourself.
It's also been one that's like DeMarco's been very clear about who's going to play, and like if you mess up one thing, you're done.
Yeah,
and it's like
DeMarco's a very tough, very demanding coach, and some people think he's a little too hard on players. I think, but it's your coach, man. I mean, he's trying to make you the best that you can be, and I understand. It's like a lot of stuff that goes on with Mike Gundy. He's old school. DeMarco's an old school guy. He just is. He believes in coaching people hard and working hard, and preparing. So,
I mean,
he's not going to change.
We see it in like very small glimpses because we're not at practice every day, but just in the small times that we are out there. You think Bill Beatenbow likes yelling at his position group? Go spend some time with the running back group. There are things that are said over there that I've never even heard.
I was going to ask. I was like, guys, I feel like DeMarco is more of a hard ass than Bill is about some of this stuff.
100%. I will never forget in spring practice him just ripping Chapman McCown. I was like, why is he even wasting his time on that? But he'll rip those guys. So I 100% agree. I mean, he's intense.
So I'm interested to see how it plays out. If Javonte Barnes gets involved and he's healthy and he looks different, I'm aboard the Javonte Gavin train the rest of the way.
It would just be amazing that it would have taken them 8 weeks to get back to where everybody thought it was going to be in week one.
But guess what? I mean,
go ahead, Kerry.
Guess what? I mean, look at Oklahoma State. Look at Ollie Gordon. They struggled to get him going, but they knew he was a really good running back. You could see the same thing with these young guys.
And I do still think, and maybe it's just been an excuse all along,
Gordon.
but maybe there is something to, they just really weren't that healthy. Like, I think that was definitely the case early in the year.
Yeah.
I'm still skeptical if Javonte is, like, I want to see Javonte run and cut because he just has not looked right all year to me. But if he's back to being 100% healthy, then he's definitely the guy at running back, in my opinion. And then you look at Sawchuk, he looked healthy to me on Saturday. So maybe it is a case of they're just finally feeling better. I don't know. But there hasn't been any sense of Javonte either that he's like upset with what's going on.
I don't think that it's anything like that. Like Josh said, like he is very usually involved. Like he's one of the first guys out to, congratulate teammates. He's very involved on the sidelines. He's not pouting over there on the sidelines. Yeah. So it's bizarre. The whole thing is.
All right, let's move on. I want to talk about the offensive line a little bit. And Josh, obviously this is kind of your area of expertise. You study it more than anybody on the staff. What has to happen for this offensive line until Mettauer gets back? How do you see the Caleb Schaefer, Troy Everett? Do you think maybe Troy Everett gets a shot this week? Is Savion Byrd finally shown after that fourth quarter that he deserves another shot?
To me, if McCade's healthy, and I've heard some rumors that he may be out there this weekend. I don't. But to me, like George was saying, you're going against Kansas and Oklahoma State up front. Don't rush him back. Like if he's not ready, wait. Like I don't think that's going to be the difference because you're not playing. If you're playing Texas, okay, I get it. Like you gotta go with what you got. But if you can get him back to full strength by letting him have another week or two, let him have another week or two. Like that should not be the reason you win or lose against either of these teams, in my opinion. To me, I thought Savion Byrd had some really nice moments in the fourth quarter. You watch him on Sawchuk's big run. There's a double from the right. Guyton comes down on the inside guy, and he just kind of nudges him in Byrd's direction. Byrd turns and seals that guy as quick as I've ever seen anybody do it. Like there is so much talent still there that everybody forgets and overlooks with Savion Byrd. There's just been a really quick hook for them. We were just talking. I was going to bring this up in the running back conversation because we were talking about how quickly Gavin Sawchuk's like, okay, he's not in for 20 more plays after his mistakes. Kind of the same deal with Savion. Like it's not like he's never allowed to play through his errors. Like he makes one, and they're usually when he makes one, they are really bad. Like I absolutely acknowledge that. But then again, he'll make plays that few guys on the offensive line can make, and you're like, well, there's got to be some give and take to that. I will say I agree. I was watching the review with George and Eddie yesterday. Couldn't agree more. Caden Green's your left guard. That's your left guard going forward. I don't think there's any question. He's your best player. He's best suited to it. And you're getting that guy valuable snaps for next year when he is going to be one of the linchpins of your offensive line. Like, I think that just has to happen and has to come together. But, if McCade's ready, start him at right guard, and then maybe you finally have your five. You're ready to move forward and go. Because, guys, I know I harp on it all the time, but continuity is the thing you cannot replace on offensive line. They've just got to have some time playing together. And this is a perfect point in time in the year to do it, because they should be able to make a mistake here or there, and it's not going to be crippling to the game, to the season. Like, they should be okay as they kind of learn and develop together, I guess you'd say.
Were you surprised at all we didn't see Troy Everett? Just because, I know he's not, the greatest player, but he is probably one of their more consistent. Like, what you're going to get from him on a snap-to-snap basis.
Yep. He is the left guard, Mettauer, like Mettauer. God, I'm going to get it right. Anyway, there is
Mettauer.
There is that. No, it's tall. Like, I looked it up the other day. Remember we were talking about it, I think, on the pod.
Did I not just say it's tall?
Did we have this conversation on the postgame pod? Was that one that we had?
You said toy, and I said ta. I'm just telling you.
Just call him a kid.
I'm throwing the red flag like in that commercial. We'll go back and look at it.
Mettauer.
Yeah.
T-A-W. Okay. Then I did it wrong. I thought I was doing it right, but I apologize to McCade, who I've known since he was in high school and still can't say his damn last name. Anyway, but
because you work with Eddie.
With Everett, I mean, he's very steady. You know what you're going to get out of him. He's probably not going to beat you. He's probably not going to be the reason you pop a big play. Like, it's just kind of, he's a steady guy. He's a center. He just is. And so he's a little light. He's tough. It's a lot to ask for him at guard. And again, like, he's going to be your future center at some point. With Caden Green, I don't know if Caden Green's going to be your left guard. I don't know if he's going to be your right tackle, but I know he's one of your 5 most talented guys. And he's not making cataclysmic freshman mistakes. He's played a lot of football at this point in the year. And I thought he was pretty solid against UCF. It wasn't perfect or anything like that, but it was a good sign for a freshman. So I like the direction they're trending. Guys, the guy that nobody's talking about that's playing really good Walter Rouse, and I know everybody talks about the Texas play. You talk about a guy that's just steady. Play in, play out. You know what he's going to be. You know what he's doing. And he's not the athlete that Tyler Guyton is, but I would say play in and play out. He's probably played better over the last few weeks just because he is so constant.
Maybe a little bit better even than anybody could have thought coming over from Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a lot like Orlando Brown in that he is so big and long. He can cover up for maybe any athletic shortcomings he might have.
Where would you see him getting drafted, Josh? Because I got asked that in the mailbag this week of like who could get drafted. And I think Walter Rouse could definitely get drafted.
Oh, 100%. Like when he came in, and I know Gabe and I talked a little bit about it, and I know Gabe has referenced it several times. I thought he was like a 5th or 6th rounder, probably just watching the tape from Stanford and seeing. If you told me he snuck in late second day, I don't think that's shocking. I don't think that's an impossibility. He's like kind of a late 3rd rounder, maybe, one of those supplemental picks or something like that. But I don't think there's any question he'd be a 3rd or 4th rounder. Like Carrie's saying, I feel like there's more appreciation than ever of those big guys that are just hard to get around. Like they're not like, oh man, it's an amazing athlete. Those are the guys you really want. I understand. But there is like, we can use this guy. Walter's so big, kind of like we talk about all the time with the high school to college move. He could probably play guard if that's what you wanted him to do. He's a big enough guy that he'd hold up and be okay in there if that's where your numbers kind of put him at. So, like I said, I think he's upped his value for sure in this season.
He's definitely got the size. I had one more question, Carrie, if you don't mind.
Well, yeah, go ahead. Because Josh is going to have to get out of here.
Yeah, do you think Guyton should come back?
I do. I don't know that he's gonna, and I know it's one of those things where I feel like he'll get a grade and it'll be probably 2nd, something like that. But he's one of those guys that's going to go to the combine and they're going to be like, "Holy crap, this guy's an alien!" Like, and he'll shoot up. I'd be shocked if he lasted past 15 in the draft just because his upside is Hall of Fame. Like I don't know another way to say that. When Bill is the person he is, and he's telling you he's the most talented guy he's ever coached, what are we talking about? Like we know that's rare air, but at the same time, he could come back and he's going to have all the hype. He's going to be on all the Outland list, all the major awards, and he's going to be being talked about as a top 10 pick from day one. And I don't care what you say, that stuff can resonate. It just does, and scouts try to ignore it, but it's part of it. You go in looking for a top 10 guy and you watch his skill set, you're going to be like, his film isn't maybe there yet, but we can make him that kind of player. Like they're going to believe they can get that out of him.
Josh, I know you got to get, and we did a really extensive recruiting report on Monday, so there's probably not a whole lot to advance there, but want to ask you real quick about Grant Brix. I mean, we were passing that photo around today in the war room. Nebraska parking their semi outside of his high school or across the street from his high school. I think we all looked at that and we said, what year is this? What year are we in? Like, that would impress someone maybe in like 1995. I don't know that resonates a lot with a kid these days when you have NIL and NFL alumni and stuff like that. It's like, okay, am I committing to a football program or idol? Like an idea that people think is still this great thing. Nebraska football.
Guys, I don't know about you. That reeks of a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
That just reeks of we're in trouble here
Desperation.
and we're going to throw everything we can. Yeah, that just smells desperate to me. And I know I would probably think that regardless, but knowing the kid, that doesn't feel like that feels like that could go badly for them. Like he would, because this is not an attention hungry kid. This is a guy that doesn't like doing recruiting, not just interviews, but he doesn't love talking to coaches. Like he's very kind of insulated from a lot of this stuff, more than maybe any kid I can really remember. And for that, and then to be, like, oh, now all my friends are talking about it, and I've got to deal with this at practice and that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's going to go the way Nebraska thinks it will. I could be wrong. I'm not saying, again, kid doesn't talk a lot, so I'm not going to pretend I have some amazing insight into his personality and who he is, but I know a lot of people that do talk to him. And I don't know that, again, it's just it looks really cool. I guess it looks really cool, but I'm not sure that's the move they think it is.
All right. Anything else before you pop out of here that's developed in the last 24, 48 hours that you're keeping an eye on?
No, there's nothing huge or groundbreaking right now.
I will say I really want to see Jonah Williams in an OU uniform. That kid looks like that video. It's just like, I know he doesn't do a whole lot, but just the potential there. I mean, my God, what a stud that kid is.
He is a freakish athlete. Really excited this weekend. Going to go, see a few big time guys. Going to be in Dallas on Thursday and then back in Houston on Friday. But yeah, the one thing I will say, just kind of coming out of the weekend, was Reggie Powers, the safety from Ohio. Everybody I talked to, that visit went very, very well. I put in a forecast. God dog it, I can't stop doing it. I put in a prediction this morning for Reggie Powers in Oklahoma. I did one as well for Tristan Haynes, the 2025 corner. So I really like, kind of where Oklahoma is in those recruitments.
I really just want to play Shannon Sharp saying skip to Stephen A. Smith. I was yelling skip in the control room the other day when you did that.
I can't. I don't know why. It's just like it's hardwired in my brain because we didn't even do it for that long. That wasn't like a long time. It wasn't
like an 18-year deal.
I don't know why. Yeah, it's some weird hiccup I have in my brain.
All right, Josh, we'll let you get out of here. So appreciate it. And I don't know, you guys have anything you want to continue with? Or
Eddie and I get to go see Michael Boganowski.
Oh, yeah.
On
Friday night.
Awesome.
Friday night. It's going to be fun. I was just going to bring up the stuff from the Crimson Corner about somebody sponsoring our trip to Los Angeles to go to a Lincoln Riley press conference.
I think we should do it.
I do too.
I also, Carrie was, me and Eddie were talking, if Dylan makes it to New York, I think we could get some great content out of that. Me and Eddie on Times Square.
Oh, I will send you if he goes.
Yeah.
Content better be good, though.
Just in terms of
we need
like
10K views on every video that we put out.
Trust me.
Back to just OU stuff real quick. Dylan Gabriel, wide receiver. We good with that? With what they put out? Like, I know that you wrote about Nick Anderson this week, but it just, I don't know. It just didn't seem like it ever got into the flow of things. And it might have been because the offense was never in flow.
There's just not many guys creating separation, it seems. And I felt like in the game they tried to make Farouk become that guy that Andrell was with some of the shots down the field and doing some things. And Farouk's just not that type of like he's a different type of player.
Well, let's
Andrell.
not pretend like Andrell hasn't been taken out of games though, because he has.
Yeah, but like he also did things that opened up things for other people.
Sure.
And I don't know if they have that right now. I think they'll get there. I think it just might take some time. Like Nick Anderson has been great.
He needs to have a lot more catches that aren't touchdowns to open up the offense. Like he needs to be a guy that other teams are
when it's
concerned about, and I think they are getting there, but he has to prove it still. Too.
When it's 3rd and 5, who's going to be the guy that gets the 6-yard gain right at the sticks?
Sure.
Like that's my
not
thought.
Drake Stoops.
Yeah, and maybe it is Drake Stoops. I don't know. I think we're going to see more Jaden Gibson. He seems to every time, other than the Texas game, come in and just make a great catch. And he creates some separation. He's so big. And then the other one I think is Pettaway. I think we're going to see some more Pettaway.
I'm excited for that.
Also, Brennan Thompson's not healthy.
Yeah,
I don't think.
And I wonder could they try a Mettauer on the outside,
Yeah.
just to get somebody downfield, or somebody open downfield. So, I mean, to me, as a young guy like that, it's hard, to ask like a Gavin Freeman or a Jaquez Mettauer to like learn more positions. So I don't know. I mean, Jaden Gibson's another guy. I mean, I want to see more of him.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think Dylan's playing fine. Like, I thought his game on Saturday was above average. Like, it wasn't like anything crazy.
Wasn't great, but
he was really good in the fourth quarter, though.
That's what I was about to say, is like every time that they've really needed to put a drive together, you can say whatever you want about this offense, but they find ways to at least move the ball and score in the fourth quarter. And that's something that, going back into the spring or August or whenever, that's something that they talked about a bunch, was being able to find ways to finish games, and they've done that.
It's almost like they simplify it. Like, they do all this stuff, and then they're like, oh, crap, we're going to lose this game. And then all of a sudden, they just go back to, like, the basics, and it's like,
Why don't they just do that early?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just do those plays.
It felt like it did, too, feel like, I want to say Gabe or Teddy maybe said this on their podcast, but it did feel like the bye week was almost too much time. Like, they were just like, they spent too much time.
Too much time after a big win.
Yeah.
This team doesn't really yet know how to kind of put behind them.
Yeah, I think that they'll play well this weekend.
I think so, too.
This is like one of those super paranoid, maybe like superstitious type things, too. The last 15 times OU's played Kansas, they've won by double digits. This weekend, spread's right at about 10 and a half. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know.
I think I think the offense is gonna play really well. My question is, what can the defense hold them to? Because Kansas is gonna score, but I could see this game being like a 45-28 type game, 45-31 type game, because Kansas can move the ball.
They can move the ball. They can move the ball.
But I think OU shouldn't have any issues.
They should. I mean, I don't think it's getting ahead of ourselves to say like OU should be able to win this game going away. If they're going to become a college football playoff team, they need to win this game like 45-21.
I think it's important to build a little momentum going into Stillwater next week too.
Yeah, I still feel good about them against Oklahoma State. Now, if they go out and they shit the bed this weekend against Kansas, I'll feel totally different. But if they go out and they play well, I think they should be able to handle Oklahoma State.
We're
next
still
week.
figuring out expectations for this team, which is weird to say, but coming off of 6-7, I mean, it sure looks good putting 7-0 next to 6-7.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of like in '99. I mean, you went through that season. They go to A&M, like they almost lose that game, and you're like, "Up." I remember I was hosting some watch party back then, and it was kind of like, "Oh well, it was a great run," and everybody left the party, and then they came back and won. On the interception by Torrance Marshall.
Yeah.
Like they just have to keep coming up with big plays. And they're going to have that. I mean, going on the road I think is going to be good because you go on the road, it's not going to be a home environment like it has been. You go to Stillwater, it's going to be the closest thing to Texas that you're going to play in, but they're going to be everywhere. Like Oklahoma State fans are going to be so fired up for that game. Last game, Bedlam game in Stillwater. It's going to be a madhouse. So they have, and look, I know everybody kind of feels like OSU is getting a lot of love, and they really are just kind of beating the mid teams in the Big 12. But that's an environment where you could really fall apart.
Well, you can't do what you did this last week, right? You can't go out and not take advantage early in the game because you get behind in that game in that environment, you're in trouble. I mean, it's one of those games that you have to jump on it early.
The other thing that you really have to do is be really good in special teams, and I think that's the one thing that I'm looking at this weekend. Is who their place kicker is and
what's
what's
the deal
that
with
going
that?
to be.
Have we figured that out? I mean,
I don't know.
Brent saying on his coach's show that Gavin Marshall wasn't even suited up was like very head scratching to me.
I saw him at practice yesterday, so I have no idea. They need to figure it out though. And frankly, I don't really care who kicks.
Yeah,
put the ball through.
Hell,
the
let
uprights.
Elzinga do it.
Make 38-yard field goals. That just can't happen.
I do think Elzinga is the backup place kicker if Marshall's not suited up.
Interesting.
He was kicking him in warm-ups.
Was he?
Yeah.
They got to get it figured out.
I don't know. But this is a big week. I think these next 2 weeks, man, if they can get through these next 2 weeks, I think you're sitting in a really good spot.
All right, that's going to do it for this week on the Unofficial 40 podcast. Remember, go check out that YouTube page for Josh's recruiting roundup that we put on Monday. We had the practice report come out yesterday. A lot of people watching that one, so appreciate that. We'll have the game day preview coming up with the Kansas City Stars. I can't remember the gentleman's name. No one can, apparently.
I have it just once.
Anyway, we'll have a special guest to give us a preview of the Kansas Jayhawks and also the best remaining interviews and things that we have from this week. So tune in for that. But also, don't forget, go sign up, Soonerscoop.com. Love to have your support. Great community. You can get in for just $1 a month. $1 for your first month for check it out. And lots of people joining every day. Appreciate everybody being a part of the website, because that's why we're here. And that's kind of why we do the podcast, just to let you guys know what we're all about. So thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back again next week for another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast from Soonerscoop.com.